This is literally avocado toast. You can't afford groceries? You can't afford your gas because it jumped up twice in price? You should just drink a Starbucks. All these born-again Christian chicks being like, but men are just so evil. You are doing the sin of pride. Like, he's made fun of Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is a fucking meme because of how much of a war hawk he is. Even Trump was aware of it, even the presidential debates back in the day. So the fact that he still listens to Lindsey Graham baffles me. He wrote this article almost a month ago now, talking about Evangelical Wakanda. I meant to read this on stream, but I never got around to it. I did read it in my own free time, and it's actually fascinating. So I'm curious if she's going to bring this up in her video or not. This is crazy, because I was raised Catholic. I wasn't evangelical. I did not know how crazy the evangelicals were. I just knew they cared about the end times. I didn't think they cared about Israel, specifically when it comes to the end times.
So, what happened? Well, a few weeks ago, our government had a That's So Raven premonition. They had a vision, and they saw into the future. They saw that Iran was going to attack Israel, so we went ahead and attacked Iran. Now we're in some bullshit war. No, I am not joking. That's basically what happened. Despite the Pentagon saying there was no proof Iran was going to attack.
Oh, that article I just brought up, that is literally the script for this. So, interesting. I guess I'm spoiled on the video? Oh, well, we'll see. We're 22 seconds in. It was like word for word the same thing.
It came to us in a dream. Source, we made it the f up. Now, there are many reasons floating around for this war. Israel, China, Russia, oil, Iran being 2 weeks away from having a nuclear bomb for the past 40 years, bringing democracy to Iran, and many other things, and we can discuss those things. Maybe it's all those things at the same time. But there is one thing I feel is just not getting enough attention. And that is the many people in our government who believe in a literal doomsday prophecy about this war, and are possibly pushing our president to take the necessary steps to make it happen. No, I am not joking. No, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is not the Candace Owens channel. This is a real thing, and we gotta talk about it. Now, I know I keep saying the next video is going to be a slop video. I know, I'm sorry, but things just keep happening. But that's okay, it will be over quick, and then we can get to the more important issues, like making fun of women on TikTok. So in this video, we will talk about this f***ass war. We will discuss the strange characters who are encouraging it, the doomsday cult they belong to, and I will crash out a little bit. Okay. A lot of it. The Iran war is—
I was gonna say, her Twitter feed has been absolute peak since this whole thing started. I mean, there's that infamous tweet from her from a couple months ago saying that she just wants to vote for a president who hasn't kissed the wall. And that's basically my policy too. I'm at the point where that's like my only requirement. Okay, I'm not that desperate. If they don't kiss the wall and they still want to import Infinity Browns, I'm not gonna vote for them. But fuck, man. Both parties are so bad when it comes to this.
an extremely hot topic that affects literally everything, from the stock market to gas prices to possible World War III. It feels like I wake up every morning and like 5 major historical events have happened while I was sleeping overnight. So it's pretty hard to keep up with the news lately. And that's why for 5 years now, I have been using today's sponsor, Ground News. So let's quickly give them a shout out before we get into this video, shall we? Ground News is a website and an app that gives readers a fun, easy, and transparent—
Chat, do I skip the ad? Sorry, Shoe. Sorry, Shoe. Sorry, Shoe. Sorry, Shoe. Sorry, Shoe. I do what the people want. The judgment in her eyes, knowing full well I skipped the ad.
Now, let's get back to the video. Happy day 24 of the special 2-week military operation, everybody. We did it! Mission accomplished. I feel like every day I wake up and Trump is like, we won. And then something else blows up. And then again, he's like, we won. And then we're back at war, but it's not a war, but we won the war. Hey, maybe it will be over by the time this video uploads, because apparently Iran wants to talk to JD Vance. JD Vance is apparently the peacemaker here. Imagine the Iran war. Imagine possible World War III even. In the hands of a Shoe0nHead fan.
All I'm saying is, even though he's a race mixer, he's kind of based. The Ayatollah, the third one this week, shows up and JD Vance asks him, "Did you even say thank you for bombing your country?" Love that for that to be the interaction, but alas, that is not the case.
We're all gonna die. People word for word, bar for bar, repeating the NPC talking points that we heard during the Iraq War. This Middle Eastern country is building weapons of mass destruction. They hate America. We're gonna bring them democracy. It's all the same shit. It's all the same people pushing for this shit. Only this time we have social media and we are seeing war propaganda from all sides being debunked right in front of our eyes. Social media has like truly been the worst thing that has ever happened to the government. Imagine like getting away with decades and decades of propaganda now being debunked in real time by people called like pee poo poo 69. Brutal. Sorry, I have to like white balance my camera. I'm using... It's story time. I'm gonna be the new Miss Rachel. Today's number.
That's why the Biden administration was so hard during COVID. Under the Biden administration specifically, it got so much worse. And that's why YouTube had the whole, like, little bars underneath videos about, like, this is what the WHO recommends. Anybody would possibly talk about any possible side effects of, like, wearing a mask or even taking the vaccine. Operation Warp Speed is probably one of the worst things Trump did in the first administration, which... In his defense, he was in between a rock and a hard place, right? Because he had the whole world leering down on him and being like, you need to solve this problem, right? So then he had Operation Warp Speed put in place to help make a vaccine as fast as possible. And that's what he did, is skip the animal trials and shoved out in like less than a year, which we don't even know the short-term side effects with the COVID vaccine. Haven't been, 5 to 10 years. 20 years of side effects with the COVID vaccine could possibly do to people, and it's mRNA, so it's already experimental. But talking about that on YouTube, you would have lost your channel immediately. Like, there was a channel called Teal Deer that I absolutely adored back in the day. He was hilarious, but he actually talked a lot about the COVID side effects during that time period. And, well, guess what? Channel is dead now because he became demonetized. And when you are demonetized... it kills your channel, not only just because of, you don't get the money that way, but you also kills your reach. YouTube claims that being demonetized doesn't actually hurt your channel's reach or anything like that. But think about it this way. They don't really have an incentive to actually push your content. It's dead content. And so it literally just kills your channel. And you could maybe make the argument, oh, you should just make content just for the love of the game. But in the case of when this is somebody's job, it puts them out of service and they have to go get a real job and then they have less time to make content. Knowing your channel is now dead, it just is a huge demoralization factor there. Like, yeah, there's people that still do it just for the love of the game, but it's just not the same. And that was just YouTube, but like the censorship on all the other social media platforms was crazy too. Facebook and Twitter, because it was literally Twitter at that time, not X. Heavily censorious too. They were suppressing everything. You had to go to alternate social media sources to try to find anything. Parler was a lifesaver until that got shut down because it was too freedom of speech, and that's when Google and Apple decided to implement harsher TOS on their Play stores. That's why X under Elon, you still can't say the N-word or various other things. That was all under the COVID era. And Biden was working with, the FBI under Biden was working with Facebook and Twitter to actually lock people up and how to actually censor everything too. It's a whole dystopian nightmare. And one thing I would give the Trump administration credit for is that he hasn't gone that far. Now, there's been rumblings about anti-Semitism and, how anti-Semitism is awful and evil, and so therefore we need to shut it down, goy. Leave, eh? So far that hasn't happened, so it gives me a little bit of hope. But, if she was right, having social media here is the best way to, prove the government's lying. Not terribly, it's not like a COVID situation where everyone was questioning it, but you couldn't talk about it or else you literally lose your job. But it's not exactly a good look for the administration.
Is 7, and we're gonna talk about Tower 7! Anyway, I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, I hope Iran wins. That's like, I saw people saying that, like, that is psychotic. I don't want to go down with the USS Great Satan, you know what I mean? Like, if we're in a war, I want to win the war. I just don't understand why there has to be a war. We know regime change doesn't work. We've tried this already. It never works. We always make shit worse. We're not the world police. There are so many people all over the world suffering, but our priority as America is to take care of Americans. And the American people are suffering. And now
I mean, technically, we are the world hegemon, which makes us the world police by default. We have to carry a big stick. If we don't, then China will, because China is our biggest competitor. I know people think that China is a paper... Some people think China is a paper tiger. Who's our biggest competitor? Russia? Russia, who's been in the 2-week war for, what, 4-5 years now? Something like that? Like, it's not going to work out for them. And China's actually doing stuff. They're currently in Africa right now. That whole... It's all so tiresome meme. Comes from Empire of Dust, which was filmed back in early 2010 in that time period. They're in Africa, but they're just taking the resources there because Africa is a bountiful continent, and the Africans are just not doing anything with it because they can't think 15 seconds ahead. We have to do some stuff, but this Iran war, it ain't it. Like, yes, now that we're in it, we should win it. I don't want the Iranians to win. I don't care about the fucking mud huts there, right? I don't care about the Middle East. I don't care about the sandbox, okay? I don't like Israel. I don't like Iran. I don't like Iraq. I don't like Palestine. I don't like Saudi Arabia. I don't like Qatar. I don't like Sudan or whatever the fuck other backwaters country is there, right? I don't care about any of them. But I don't like us being dragged into this war in the first place because the China argument is the only argument that makes the most sense. And there was somebody within, like when this whole thing started, somebody in the VOD, when I covered this, spent a lot of time explaining how the China argument works, and it makes a lot of sense. But as the war has gone on for almost a month now, China's only really seems to be winning from this so far. They're not actually being heard at all.
asking for $200 billion for war. $200 billion. Notice nobody's like, who's gonna pay for that? When it's shit like war, but when it's for your mom's diabetes medication, it's pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. $200 billion while American situations have not gotten any better. In fact, they're just going to get worse now. Everything is going to get more expensive, but that's okay, apparently. That's okay. That's not a concern.
The U.S. economy is fundamentally sound, and that if it were to be extended, it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about, you know, if that continued, what we would have to do about that. But that's like really the last of our concerns right now. Consumers,
that's what we are to these people. Just good little obedient bug people, gonna go see a Marvel movie, maybe buy a Labubu, eat a little Dubai chocolate. We have no soul, no lives, no families to take care of. We are just consumers. And when we can't take care of those families, you know what their solution is? What's their solution? Take fewer trips to Starbucks.
This is literally avocado toast. You can't afford groceries? You can't afford your gas because it jumped up twice in price? You should just drink a Starbucks. You shouldn't have your avocado toast.
If I say what I am thinking, I will be banned off YouTube, so I will simply be silent. Gas is gonna be like $1 billion. But that's okay, guys. Short-term pain, long-term gain.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain.
Short-term pain for American consumers.
Short-term is highly outweighed of the long-term benefits.
Some short-term pain for the long-term gain.
What?
Okay, so most of those clips are Fox News, so it kind of makes sense why they have the whole script. But the whole compilation there reminds me of the infamous, this is extremely dangerous for our democracy. I can't play that because it will kill the stream. I've learned my lesson, where it has all the local news networks repeating all the same script, and it ends with, this is extremely dangerous to our democracy, and it's all news networks from across the United States. Now, this is because the news networks are owned by Sinclair, in this case, so they're all fed the same script. But it is a little bit dystopian when it's supposed to be your local news network, right? Your little town in the middle of nowhere. It's supposed to have different news than New York City, for example, right? It's a little bit strange when they all read from the same script and they're just like, this is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. It's this thing here. I mean, one's 6 years, a half a dozen. This one's 7 years ago. Roughly the same length. But yeah, they literally just say the exact same thing. And it goes, and it solely adds different clips from different local things. It's beautiful. In a most terrifying way. Anyway. Just a friendly reminder, they're all in the same script if you didn't know that already.
In the NPCS is this. It is your patriotic American duty to unplug the TVs in your parents' and grandparents' house right now. Destroy their satellite dishes. Log them out of Facebook. It is up to us to stop the boomers from sending the zoomers to another war in the Middle East. The amount of people who were anti-regime change war, like last Thursday, who have completely 180'd is fucking insane. I literally have no theory of mind for being that hyper-partisan brained. Like, a lot of these people.
Wide partisan divides over initial decision to use military force in Iran and how the U.S. action is going. Percentages say U.S. made the blank decision in using military force in Iran. Total is wrong, 59 versus right is 38. Oh, Jesus Christ. Republicans, lean Republicans, 26% of them say it was wrong versus 71% say it's right. Versus Democrats or lean Democrats, or 88% say it's wrong and right is 11. Which I guess that makes sense because it is. Republicans are known to be the war hawks thanks to the Bush era, but not like the Democrats are really any better in any way, shape, or form, but it's just the vibes that they give off. We're going to ignore Obama's drone strikes, obviously. I also think it depends on who they're interviewing too, because any polls in general, and not just saying this just because of this, but any polls in general you should always take with a grain of salt, because they're usually very small numbers of people, and from a very biased selection. Like, they're going out into the city, because this is where all these different things are at, and they're all in the city, right? So they're not really giving you a wide breadth for opinions and different things like that. If they interview, in this case, mostly old people, I can definitely see where the right goes higher, because there's obviously people who support this, and I know there's a few of you in chat, and you know what? Hey, listen, I obviously disagree with you, but no biggie. We can agree to disagree on different things in this case. But the general consensus with younger people is this is a mistake, and the general consensus with older people is this is actually a good thing. Like my dad, for example. We talked about the Iran war thing once briefly when the whole started, and he spent 5 to 10 minutes explaining to me how literally Israel's our greatest ally. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm not joking. He literally spent 5 to 10 minutes talking about Israel's our greatest ally, and so therefore we have to defend them. So there's obviously a stark divide there.
People are just like totally for this now because it's Trump doing it. Some of you are cattle. Some of you are weak. You are submissive and breedable. The only politician I simp for is Huey Long, right? And that's because he's dead and can't disappoint me. The worst part about this whole war thing is not the death and destruction and possible economic collapse and nuclear fallout, but the fact that it's good for the Democrats. They will probably win midterms, and if things get worse, they will probably win 2028 too. Without learning any lesson, without changing at all. They will literally run on Orange Man bad and win. I am tired of politics. I am tired of voting. Take away the 19th Amendment. I don't want it. I don't want it. You can. The men can have it. The men can deal with it. I'm done. I'm tired of voting for pee-pee or poo-poo and always getting diarrhea. I'm done. The end. End of video.
I mean, I agree. As someone who's been heavily interested in politics since I was 12 years old, I still advocate for getting rid of the 19th Amendment. If I can be a dumb VTuber on the internet talking about politics, and I help bring the repealing of the 19th to lose my right to vote, I would die happy. That would make me the happiest girl in the whole entire fucking world. That actually happened there.
Sorry. Mommy's not mad. She's just disappointed. Anyway, like I said, there are many stated reasons behind this war. One of the things people blame this war on a lot is Israel. Many people believe that Iran was not an immediate threat to us, and that this is just another conflict that Israel is dragging us into, making us fight their war for them. Because of this and everything that's happened in Gaza, Israel's PR is in the toilet. Polls are showing Israel is becoming extremely unpopular, especially with young people. It's getting so bad that the Israeli government literally had to pay internet influencers to say good things about them. No, I'm not kidding. This is a real thing that happened.
Yeah, there was actual, I won't say exactly leaked. It was some sort of program they did a few months ago where they're supposed to be paying $7,000 because they are really big in numerology, and it always has to be very special numbers. And then Yahoo came out talking about how they need to work with influencers to promote the benefits of Israel to the youth. I remember reacting to that on stream, or talking about it on stream. And a fun fact about the $7,000. Recently it was revealed that the people who did actually accept the $7,000 didn't get the full 7,000. They only got a few hundred out of that. The irony of the situation.
It was filed with the US Department of Justice. They undisclosed paid a bunch of YouTubers, TikTokers, Twitter personalities to run defense for them last year, and they are most likely still doing that today. Imagine losing the internet PR war to 20-year-olds with anime avatars making TikTok edits of Jeffrey Epstein and Agartha. And listen, I know many people are tired.
It's such a good song. I know it's about lesbians, but it's such a good song.
Of everybody blaming Israel for everything. Like, oh, I stubbed my toe this morning. It was Israel. They associate criticism of Israel with people like Hassan Piker or Candace Owens. They are just tired, and I get it. Hopefully, I can bring some nuance into this discussion. Not everything is Israel's fault, but when it comes to the Middle East in particular, when it comes to American foreign policy, Israel is extremely relevant. This is a historical fact, and if we are going to be attached to the hip to this country, we should absolutely be allowed to talk about it without a bitch in our ear calling it anti-Semitism. It is 2026. We are done with the thought-terminating buzzwords. We are done with the ists and the isms. These don't work anymore. It's not racist to criticize Black Lives Matter. It's not sexist to criticize feminism. It is not anti-Semitic to criticize a foreign country. And frankly, in my opinion, the worst thing you can do for Jewish people right now is conflate the nation of Israel with Jewish people as a whole. Like, what are you doing? Oh, you don't want—
Yeah, because, listen, I'm every instant O in the book, unironically, okay? You are making your position so much worse when you say that criticizing Israel for being a horrible country is being anti-Semitic. You're gonna make more people anti-Semitic.
Want the world to end in some kind of nuclear holocaust? What are you? An anti-Semite? It's like when there's legislation to give pedophiles the death penalty and people come out like, this is transphobic. It's like, what do you mean by that? It's good to question mainstream narratives. That's why this entire channel was created in the first place. We are here to criticize the media and the government that has a history of lying to us, especially on topics like this. If you don't think that's totally valid and normal and you think I'm an anti-Semite for this, well, I have been called racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic for the past 15 years. Honestly, what is one more to add to the list? When this all initially popped off, one of my first tweets about this was this. Many people were confused as to exactly what I was talking about, so let me explain it simply. There are people in our government right now who believe in a biblical prophecy about Israel. Pete Hegseth, Lindsey Graham, Mike Pompeo, Ted Cruz, Mike Johnson, Mike Huckabee, and many, many others believe a massive war surrounding the Middle East will bring Jesus Christ back. They want this. To them, this is the good ending. We'll all be saved. Great. Awesome. Unfortunately, many Americans and many people all around the world will die in a giant nuclear war. Not great. Bad, even. This particular religion is called dispensationalism, a type of evangelical Christianity that became popular in the 20th century. That's right, today we are talking about the EQ. The evangelical question. Evangelicals are one of the largest religious groups in America, and they are a huge, important voter bloc. Important detail to remember. What you have to understand is evangelical Christianity is absolutely fucking obsessed with the end times. This isn't just like an offhand thing that's mentioned in the Bible and they bring up sometimes. No, this is like their whole fucking thing. It's like all their talks, their sermons, their books. Basically, they are extremely horny for the end of the world. And many of those people are in the president's ear right now.
Strike and 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 strike, for angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda ata ata raka teda baka sanda ata ambo osa.
Chat. She's going ooga booga.
That schizo is Paula White Cain, Trump's current spiritual advisor. Like most evangelicals, she considers Israel her spiritual home, thinks Christians should be mandated to go to Israel in order to go to heaven, and believes that backing Israel is a biblical mandate. Now, what the f am I talking about? What do these people mean by biblical mandate? Well, thanks to the Scofield Bible, a version of the Bible that placed little like notes next to everything that explained the biblical text, evangelicals believe it is their duty to protect Israel. You're probably thinking like, okay, so what? Like, we have overlapping interests with Israel. Who cares if these evangelicals want to protect Israel, right? Well, there's a little more to it. Basically, the evangelical dispensationalist belief goes like this. Step 1. The Jewish people return to the land of Israel. Step 2. Israel becomes the main character in a massive war. Step 3. Global destruction called the tribulation occurs. Step 4. Armageddon happens. And step 5. Jesus Christ returns. Behold, the fruits of Martin Luther. To get my biases out of the way a little bit, I was born and raised Catholic.
Sorry, like, not the whole entire video so far has been word for word for the article that she had written about almost a month ago at this point. This part is... I'm still sitting here in disbelief because in the article only had a picture of Nala. I think that's her name. She's actually an ex-porn star, by the way. She's one of those grifters, and I don't use the word grifter lightly, but in her case, 100%. She's one of these ex-OnlyFans porn stars that turned to Christ and found Jesus. I only just had a little picture of it, didn't actually play the video of it, and just actually watching that video of that whore dancing around talking about Jesus Christ is coming back. I just can't. Like, I have lots of hatred for a lot of different people and a lot of different things. I have a huge hate boner against women doing the whole we're born to Christ thing. There's been a recent debate on Twitter because some guy made this post talking about how my wife has a promiscuous past, but she has a born again Christian, and so she's purer than any virgin because of the struggles and different things like that. And that started a whole debate for a few days. And then all the 304s started coming out like crazy. And like all these born-again Christian chicks being like, oh, well, you men are just so evil. You are doing the sin of pride. You're no better than these whores that found Jesus, because at least they came to Christ. And how dare you throw stones at glass houses, because even Jesus, helped, save Mary Magdalene. I didn't actually see anybody actually mention Mary Magdalene, by the way. I brought her up because, like Shoe, I was raised Catholic. I went to a Catholic school my entire fucking life. And it's just like, no, whores, shut up. Like, okay, great, you found Jesus. You changed your ways. Good for you. You're still a whore. It doesn't, like, you still have the consequences of your actions from the past. I'm glad you're changing your way, but if guys are not interested in you because you were a whore, they have all right to not be interested in you. If you can find a man who doesn't care about that stuff, then great. Good for you in that moment. Feel bad for that man, but whatever the case is. I just really hate born-again Christian women, because any of them that do it publicly, it's just a grift, right? They change from selling their bodies online with OnlyFans to selling still their bodies still, talking about how Jesus saved me. And this knowledge check is no different, but instead she went to evangelicalism, so now she thinks War with Iran's gonna bring back Jesus!
Baptized, communion, confirmation, catechism class for years, all that stuff. I stopped caring for a while and had like a edgy atheist stage as a teenager. Then I was agnostic for a while, and then in 2020, when I moved back home during COVID, I returned to Catholicism. Needless to say, I am comfortable with identifying as Catholic again today. I don't talk about this shit because it's not relevant, but it's relevant here. I have many Protestant friends, a few are evangelical. This isn't to like hate on them, even though I'm gonna be making jokes, but it's just to shine a light on a heavy bias some people in power may have towards the Middle East. If a bunch of Catholics were in power pushing for us to go to war for the Vatican or something, that would also be a conversation worth having. But that is not happening right now. And if you're wondering why Ted Cruz suddenly out of nowhere is sharing like 10,000 word AI slop Twitter essays about how Catholics are parasites, it's because he's butthurt that Catholics don't believe in the same doomsday prophecy about Israel as him and other evangelicals do.
I was really interested in other religions for a while there, and when I was in school, I actually took a class that explained other religions or other denominations of Christianity, and there obviously had the Catholic bias within it, right? The whole point was it's supposed to be unbiased. Basically, how it's kind of explained and how I kind of see it is that Orthodoxy is the closest to actual what Jesus taught within the East, and Catholicism is the closest to what Jesus taught in the West, because they had that split. There was a schism within the church. Orthodoxy does have differences from Catholicism and how we do the sacraments and other religious teachings, but they are actually pretty similar overall. They're kind of like a brother or a sister, right? Okay, I'm badly explaining that. But then after Catholicism in the West, then you have Protestantism, specifically Lutheranism, that happened with Martin Luther King when he, posted about the Jews and everything else in the 1500s. And after that, that's when things really spiraled out of control, because from Protestantism is split all these other different branches. In this case, Evangelicalism, you obviously got Anglicanism, I can't pronounce it for some reason. The Mormons don't really count technically. They're kind of their own separate thing. They're not really counted in Christianity, but you got the Jesuits, the Baptists, Methodists, different things like that. They all split from Protestantism and specifically Lutheranism in that case. And the more they split, the further away they actually get from the roots. And that's just kind of how I see it.
Essays about how Catholics are parasites, it's because he's butthurt that Catholics don't believe in the same doomsday prophecy about Israel as him and other evangelicals do. Catholics are not religiously obligated to support Israel. Same with Orthodox and honestly, most branches of Christianity. Evangelical Protestants, on the other hand, don't know how to fucking read and think the modern state of Israel is the same Israel mentioned in the Bible. This would be like the fry cook at McDonald's being named Jesus and you falling to your knees and worshiping him as the savior, and then blowing up the world for him.
I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate. Great. And I've worked every day to do that. Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
Hold
on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel.
To think all of this could have been avoided if we simply named Israel Sand, New Jersey. Dispensationalists take the Bible extremely literally. They're basically like the autism of Christianity, which is why so many Protestant evangelicals in our government are Zionists. Now, let's discuss the word Zionist, because I know that word makes some of you cringe, and I don't blame you, because it's kind of just thrown around so haphazardly today. It basically means nothing anymore. There are Zionists of all races and religions. Not all Jewish people are Zionists. Not all Zionists are Jewish. Most Zionists in our government are not Jewish. So don't let them ever guilt trip you into thinking you're anti-Semitic for criticizing people like Ted Cruz. Also, it's not anti-Semitic to criticize the Jewish people in our government either. Randy Fine? Bro is a freak. There is a reason the first time I shook Netanyahu's hand, I did not wash it until I could touch the heads of my children. What the fuck? Anyway, contrary to popular belief, Zionism does not mean when you passively support Israel as a good ally to have in the Middle East. That is not what being a Zionist is. It's a whole ideology. It's a movement. Now, one of the major characters who believes in this doomsday lore anime is Lindsey Graham. If you don't know who Lindsey Graham is, you've probably seen him on Fox News a few times. He's been on every single night the past 3 weeks. To make it short, he is the senator of South Carolina, and he is a notorious neocon war hawk. He has never met a war he didn't like. He is basically the real-life version of the Holden Blood Feast meme. That is—
Honestly, I thought that meme was actually based off him. Holden the Blood Feast, R. Iowa, 118 years old. Please, God, just let us nuke Iran. Nothing else matters. I'll do anything, please. I just want to see burning flesh one last time before I die. Respectable, bipartisan. I like how you can tell how old this meme is, the crispiness of it, the pixels, and it still says Iran. Because it goes back to the whole, oh, Iran's been 2 weeks away from nuclear weapons for 40 years. Absolute bullshit. And then it's like, oh, you know, we've been at war with them for 47 years. And it's like, okay, one, technically we started it, the CIA in the 50s, overthrew their democratically elected leader at that time. And then we installed the Shah. 20 years later, they kicked out the Shah, and that's when the whole 47 thing started. So, like, technically, we started it. Now, I'm not exactly really going to care that much about restarting things because fuck yeah, America. But the 47-year argument just doesn't even land either.
Is Lindsey Graham. So, Lindsey, girl's name by the way, believes that defending Israel is God's will and has said things like,
if America pulls the plug on Israel, God will pull the plug on us.
And I wouldn't blame anybody if they assumed he was the senator of Tel Aviv and not the senator of South Carolina. When his own state was hit with a massive hurricane, bro said this.
Elon Musk for that. But look, you know, I've been going all over South Carolina like most people. I hadn't slept much. But look what's going on in Israel. They're running out of ammunition in Israel. We have to help our friends.
The man even outright says he would support a foreign country over the citizens of America.
All the anti-Semitites to all the isolationists, I don't believe. Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day.
The anti-Semites and the isolationists? The isolation, saying you aren't with Americans and are with a foreign country is so fucking insane for a United States politician to say. How is this guy?
And he has been a senator longer than I've been alive, by the way. And they keep voting for him. Because you all know we gotta just vote our way out of this, clearly. In my book, this is treason. Talking about not just once, not just twice, but multiple times about how a foreign country is superior than the country you're in. If somebody randomly on the street was talking about how great China is, and how China's a superior country and should, you know, completely control the United States, I'd be like, okay, that's treason too. That's just a random person on the street. But now you have an active senator who's been in power for ages at this point, and nothing happens? There's so many others like him, it doesn't even matter, though. He's probably one of the worst ones. But it's treason! It's fucking treason!
Guy's still in office. This is like borderline treasonous.
Israel and the United
It's not borderline treason. It actually legitimately is. He's talking about how Israel's better and needs more support than actual Americans, and he's gonna live and die for Israel. That's treason!
States, you just wait to see what comes in the next 2 weeks.
The next 2 weeks meaning what?
We're going to blow the hell out of these people.
I'm sorry, we're gonna what? It's not war if the balls don't touch. Okay, so Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz are weird, American last freaks who believe this doomsday shit, but like, who cares, right? There's a bunch of those guys, like, who gives a f what they believe? Well, here's the issue. Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham might be the little birdies in Trump's ear pushing us to do this war.
I urged the president to launch this attack. As you noted, I was with him pretty much the entire day on Friday before the attack launched on Saturday. Pretty much the whole time he was asking me what I thought we should do on Iran.
And Lindsey Graham apparently had direct contact with Netanyahu. To help make the case on Iran, Graham traveled several times to Israel in recent weeks, meeting with members of the country's intelligence agency. They'll tell me things our own government won't tell me, he said. He spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, coaching him on how to lobby the president for action. Netanyahu showed the president intelligence that persuaded Trump to go ahead, Graham said.
It's like repeat of his first term. At least for this first term, I will give him the excuse that he had no clue what he was doing, which was his appeal, right? Trump was supposed to be the businessman. He's supposed to be the outsider. He's supposed to go in and drain the swamp, pull the plug, that type of deal. But then he got in. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know anything about anyone. And he was just, you know, told this person's good, so therefore you should hire them. And completely made a mess of his cabinet because of it. It's like this, except it's been 10 years. He's not a businessman anymore. He's not an outsider. He's a full-blooded, completely thorough politician, and he's actually learned a lot of his lessons from his first administration. I will give him credit for where credit is due. And in 2020, it was a good wake-up call for him as well. It's like this, like, he's made fun of Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is a fucking meme because of how much of a war hawk he is. I know Trump's a boomer, but, like, even Trump was aware of it, even the presidential debates back in the day about how bad he was. And so the fact that he still, when it comes to this, actually trusts and listens to Lindsey Graham after he has this horrible reputation just baffles me. But supposedly, like, J.D. Vance had a heated phone call with Netanyahu, being upset that Netanyahu sold him a lie on how long the Iran war was supposed to go for and how easy it was supposed to be. I don't know how true that is. It's one of those, like, sources say type of situations, so we'll never actually really know. Still is saying that he would trust Lindsey Graham about war.
Yes, Netanyahu, someone we should definitely listen to when it comes to this subject.
There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever.
No question whatsoever. It's crazy how I literally warned about this happened like months ago.
I'm surprised. I mean, I get she only has a certain amount of time in a video and stuff like that. But there's a compilation clip of Netanyahu talking about Iran's 2 weeks away from nuclear weapons. Since 1990 something. I forget exactly what year within the 90s it has, but I showed the compilation clip on stream before. And from literally the 90s, he's been talking about Iran's 2 weeks away from nuclear weapons.
I literally warned the administration, keep away from Lindsey Graham. Trump, listen to me. Wait, Trump doesn't watch this shit. Vance, listen to me. Get people like Lindsey Graham far away from anyone in power right now. This little
Sorry, my fat ass is covering it, but this is January 31st, 2026, so probably was a little bit too late, but still.
Venezuela stunt was cute, but we are not touching any other countries. We are not touching the Middle East, especially. No more Middle East. We all have Middle East fatigue. I just need to say, I don't like being correct about this stuff. I would rather be wrong. I would love nothing more than to be f***ing wrong about everything. If we don't put boots on the ground, if we don't create a new forever war, that would be the best thing ever. You can come back to this video and say, na boo boo, you were wrong. And I would be like, hell yeah. Fantastic. That would be wonderful. I will personally write a handwritten letter apologizing to Cat Turd for not trusting the plan. I don't know what the f is gonna happen. All I know is I saw a commercial for the military with white men in it. So, not a good sign. And right now,
there's some people on Twitter that are huge plan trusters here. At least in the very beginning of this, and we're coping hard about the Iran war, right? And I saw some of them being like, and actually targeting Shoe0nHead, being like, what about these people when we don't actually put boots on the ground? Or when this is all over in 2 weeks? Are they going to apologize? Or going to say that they're wrong or anything like that? No, they're going to move on to the next issue. And it's just like, okay, there's obviously going to be some people who are going to do that, but they seem to think that a lot of people, like Shoe, or other people similar, or I'm going to lump myself in that group too because I'm in the same thought process here, think that we want to be right, that we want to have boots on the ground just so we're right, that we want Americans to die just so we're right. I don't want to be right. I don't want to be right that this is going to take till like September, which is a rumor that's happening, because this is supposed to last about 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks, and not exactly looking like it's going that route so far, right? Like, I want to be wrong about it. Actually, pretty much a lot of what I say, because that would mean the society and America would be better off. And I would take every single L, a little bit abashedly, because I mean, nobody actually likes being wrong, but I would happily take the L's, just because, great, that means Americans didn't die. There are no boots on the ground. The Iran war got wrapped up in, just a few weeks. Okay, you know what, I'm still not exactly happy it happened in the first place, but you know what, hey, at least it was relatively quick.
Now, as I am making this video, our good friend Lindsey Graham is talking about putting boots on the ground.
Here's what I tell President Trump. Keep it up for a few more weeks. Take Carg Island, where all of the resources they have to produce oil. Control that island. Let this regime die on a vine.
Is this going to, though, take Carg Island? Is it going to involve U.S. troops on the ground?
We did Iwo Jima. We can do this.
We did Iwo Jima. We can do this. What the f***? For those unaware, Iwo Jima was one of the most brutal battles of World War II. About as many Americans died in that battle than all of the Iraq and Afghanistan war combined. This guy's a f***ing freak, dude. Also, who the f*** is we? We? You enlisting Lindsey Graham? bitch.
Well, we have the best chance in 2,000 years when Iran is neutralized.
I'm sorry, I thought this war started in 1979, when the Iranian Revolution overthrew the puppet government we installed in the 1950s. But I guess I was wrong. This war actually started 2,000 years ago. That's right, it's not about weapons of mass destruction. It's not about bringing democracy to Iran. Turns out we're fighting an ancient desert war. Exactly what MAGA voted for. Another factor that is relevant to these warmongers banging on the war drum is, of course, money. Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham receive a ton of money from AIPAC. Many politicians in our government are paid by AIPAC, Democrat and Republican, which is why you probably don't see a ton of anti-Iran war stuff coming from even the Democrats, when they would usually jump on literally anything to make Orange Man look bad. The only thing Democrats and Republicans can agree on is protecting pedophiles and war. Great. AIPAC stands for the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Now, you might sometimes see people bring up like AIPAC money, like, oh, this guy takes AIPAC money. And maybe some of you don't really understand like why that's a big deal. So I'm going to explain it in a nuanced way you can hopefully understand. The reason why people don't like big money being involved in politics in general is because it can literally purchase the way a politician will govern. For example, if a billionaire CEO of a health insurance company donates to a politician, you can bet that politician is probably not going to advocate for things like socialized healthcare or anything like that. And if a candidate takes a lot of money from something like AIPAC, that is a sign they will probably have a heavy bias toward war in the Middle East. That's why people prefer when a candidate—
We just need to ban lobbying. America is very strange in the sense that we actually allow lobbying. Now, obviously, corruption still occurs. The Eastern Europe's notorious for politicians taking money for bribes, for advocating different policies in place and ignoring different issues. So corruption will always run in place, no matter the country in this case. Like, at least when it comes to the company paying off the senator or whatever the legislative to be like, you know, not have the socialized healthcare and using Shoe's example. Not that I advocate for myself, I actually don't. At least that's kind of within America and corporate business. Still not great, still should be illegal, should be, you know, kicked out of politics. But a foreign country, halfway across the world, telling you, good little guy, to go fight and die for Israel because Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz and all these other war hawks are being paid by them to implement policies to send you to die there. That's a whole nother level of just absolute vile malice, absolute evil. It should 100% be illegal, but alas, seeing that majority of our government is literally being funded by the evil that is doing this, that's not going to be changing anytime soon.
It only takes like small donations from voters. There's no corporations, billionaires, or foreign governments pulling the strings there. Like how I take money from you, the people. I am funded directly by Big Simp. Some politicians get paid a lot by AIPAC, and some politicians sell out for the price of a Big Mac and fries. Yikes. Weird fact.
Seriously, what do you do with $9? What did they sell him for? Did they actually buy him a Big Mac and fries with those $9? And what did he do in return for $9? Because if all these other politicians are getting literal millions from AIPAC to do their bidding, why would you just take $9? Like, I get some people do it for the love of the game, right? They do it for free just because. But you could also make money off of it if you're already willing to do it.
In fact, one of the top donors to AIPAC was actually the creator of OnlyFans who died recently. He gave like millions of dollars to AIPAC, and AIPAC gives millions of dollars to the people in Congress. So
if you can't tell by that schnoz and the ears are sticking out, he's also a happy merchant. He also listens to Kirby Air Ride in his free time.
In a weird way, our government was partially funded by OnlyFans whores. Checks out. But you gotta understand, a lot of these guys would do it for free. Hypothetical. One country must no longer exist. A, the United States. B, Israel. Choose. Read Revelations and report back. When people talk about the separation of church and state, this is the shit they're talking about. What the f***? Like, what do you mean there's an American politician saying he would rather the nation he allegedly serves be destroyed over evangelical Wakanda. Get this guy out of here! I actually responded to this guy, and we had a little Twitter fight, and he just told me to read the Bible. There are people in charge of our country right now who believe we have to go to war for a biblical prophecy. That is a giant, major conflict of interest. We need to be asking people like Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham, Mike Huckabee, Mike Johnson. We need to be asking all these evangelicals in office the same exact question. Also, I just checked how much this guy gets paid from AIPAC, and whoa, buddy! Okay, so here's where it gets schizophrenic as f. While I am telling you this, please keep in mind, I don't believe this. This is what they believe. Because as I was writing this, I felt like a crazy person. With the evangelical doomsday lore, there is something called the Third Temple. In Judaism, there were two temples. There was the first temple, built around 10th century BC, and the second temple, rebuilt around the exile. And the third temple is this idea that a new Jewish temple will be built on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem to help usher in end times. Also, interesting side note here, Jewish people, especially Orthodox Chabad Jews, who are basically like the evangelicals of Judaism, believe building this temple will not bring on the end times, but the Messianic Age, otherwise known as the Golden Age, where everyone will live under Noahide laws, where the concept of worshiping Jesus would basically be illegal. Meanwhile, the evangelical end times, the Jews will convert to Christianity. So Christians and Jews are both looking to build this thing for very different reasons that do not complement each other at all, yet they are both working together to do it, and both think they will be right in the end. Pete Hegseth.
People that are heavily religious, obviously a lot of crossover with being right-leaning and being religious within the Christian faith. I get it, I get it, I get it. I mean no offense when I say this, but people who are heavily religious like this are schizophrenic. I literally do not understand this, okay? I get I'm the Reddit atheist here, but I literally cannot comprehend how you can believe something that insane genuinely. Maybe in the case of like Lindsey Graham, right, where they just really like war so much because it enriches them so that much, and they're just using the religion aspect of things like a shield to press further. But those clips do seem pretty genuine, I will say. And Shoe didn't mention this in the video. Maybe she will later. But in her article that she did, which a lot of this video is scripted from, South Carolina has a lot as like 61% evangelicals. Now, obviously, not all evangelicals believe this, but the vast majority of do, because it's the whole point of evangelicals is the end times, right? So he's actually playing into his base technically by doing that. So I can definitely see where some true belief goes into that, but I still cannot wrap my head around it, where you can believe a story that's schizophrenic before. I just do not get it whatsoever. Also, if you really love Israel so much and helping the Jews, just convert to Judaism. I get the huge difference between the Jews don't like Jesus, right? They're the ones that killed him, and they don't actually think that he's the last prophet like the Christians do, and that's where the big divide is. But if you love the Jews so much, even though they really hate you, I can't get it. I just can't get it. I'm sorry, I'm so retarded. I literally just can't comprehend it.
Our Secretary of War has openly talked about rebuilding the Third Temple.
And there's no reason why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible.
Man, we just want affordable homes and groceries. What is this shit? And Pete Hegseth, according to the president, is apparently the guy who does not want the war to end.
I said, Pete and General Raisin Cain, I think this thing's going to be settled very soon. Here they go. Oh, that's too bad. Pete didn't want it to be settled.
So, what is so...
I mean, last year, they did change the, defense, there we go, thank you, chat. It was called Department of Defense, and now it's Department of War. And I didn't really think it was that big of a deal. A lot of people were saying it's based, because, I mean, that's kind of what it is. Some people were saying that it's a little sign that they're going to be sending us to the Middle East, but I was like, nah, it's no big deal. It's like the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. It's just one of those little things, right? But Pete Hegseth is now the leader of the Department of War. And he believes all this cuckoo nonsense. And he doesn't want the war to end. I'm feeling like there's a pattern there.
so bad about rebuilding this temple? If none of this is true, like, who gives a shit? Like, freedom of religion. Well, here's the issue. If the goal is to trigger a massive war in order to get Jesus to return, they will do shit to make that happen. They will want to destroy and destabilize the Middle East, and they will use your sons and daughters to do it for them.
I go back to South Carolina, I'm asking them to send their sons and daughters over to the Mideast.
Wow, the childless warmonger with no stake in the future and moles on his ass wants our children to go fight and die in another pointless war? That last thing is true, by the way, about the moles. Look it up.
I don't
Actually,
know.
Don't. You'll regret it. Don't. Also, the area they want to build this temple thing on already has, like, a big mosque on it called the Al-Aqsa Mosque. I don't know how to fucking say that. And destroying this site would have, like, devastating consequences for the Middle East and for us. Not that they care. Just keep an eye out if that Al-Aqsa Mosque gets conveniently destroyed by a rogue Iranian missile or something in the upcoming days of this war. So yes,
I don't know what the consequences of blowing the mosque up will be. I'm assuming probably something catastrophic, because it's probably important to the Muslims. But I don't give a shit about the Muslims either, okay? I don't like the Jews, I don't like the Muslims, I don't like the Middle East as a whole, okay? So I can see where they can retaliate, and this turns into a bigger deal, which would be bad. But I also really hate the Muslims. And they already hate us anyways. Like, obviously, mostly in Europe, the Pakistani rape gangs in Britain gets a lot of focus on, but Germany and France have to deal with the same thing. America's dealing with the same thing. We don't hear about it as much because America is so vast that it's more isolated cases, but it still happens in America. So, less Muslim? Great.
it is a holy war. We are being non-consensually dragged into a holy war by 3 different sets of desert people, just as I started to get my life together. Now here is the important question. Could all this doomsday talk these politicians are saying out loud just be religious pandering to the massive evangelical population that votes for the GOP to get them to vote for a war that is ultimately about, you know, like land and weapons and territory or whatever the Yes, absolutely yes. It could all be bullshit. They might not actually believe it. I mean, a bunch of politicians, like, they're going to islands and, like, rape kids. You think these people believe in God? But remember, like I said, many do. Sometimes people really do believe in things and they will kill and die for them. Or, you know, make you go kill and die for them. I know it's hard for people to understand this. They understand it perfectly well when it comes to radical Islam, when Muslims will, like, blow themselves up for Allah or whatever the Yet when it comes to other religions, like, they can't really comprehend it. Just because you don't believe in something doesn't mean the people who do won't do crazy shit. Like, because they believe in something. US commanders across more than 30 military bases told troops the Iran war was part of God's plan and linked it to Armageddon. A commander said Trump was anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon. The Military Religious Freedom Foundation says it has received over 110 similar complaints describing the war as biblically sanctioned and a sign of the Christian end times. So here's the question. Does Trump believe in this? No. No, I don't think so. But the people around him do, and they talk about it all the time. And after Trump was like a millimeter away from being brutally and horrifically assassinated on live TV, probably not good or healthy that he has people like Mike Huckabee in his ear, the United States ambassador to Israel, saying this shit in regards to bombing Iran. Mr. President, God spared you in Butler, Pennsylvania to be the most consequential president in a century, maybe ever. The decision on your shoulders I would not want to be made by anyone else. You have many voices speaking to you, sir, but there is only one voice that matters. His voice. I am your appointed servant in this land, and I am available for you. But I do not try to get in your presence often because I trust your instincts.
What?
No president in my lifetime has been in a position like yours. Not since Truman in 1945. I don't reach out to persuade you, only to encourage you. I believe you will hear from heaven, and that voice is far more important than mine or anyone else's. You sent me to Israel to be your eyes, ears, and voice, and make sure our flag flies above our embassy. My job is to be the last one to leave. I will not abandon this post. Our flag will not come down. You did not seek this moment. This moment sought you. It is my honor to serve you. Mike Huckabee.
So, I think we found the world's biggest simp. Not, like, unironically, the man wrote a whole ass paper about how God saved Trump and he's there for him. That's just a schizo post right there. I ain't reading all that. Oh yeah, and like Mike Huckabee had this whole interview with Tucker Carlson a few weeks ago, and he's just schizophrenic. Once again, every single one of these people were like genuinely schizophrenic, and he said multiple times throughout, like once again the clips that I saw about how Israel is so much more important than America, sitting there with an American flag pinned to his chest right there. The audacity of the man's insane, and Tucker Carlson was sitting there super confused too.
Not since Truman in 1945. What did he mean by this, chat? In conclusion, Evangelical Wakanda is an interesting aspect to all of this to consider. It might not be the only cause of the war. I don't think it is. I think there's many different reasons. But I think it is pretty important to consider the fact that there are people in power right now who are very close to the President of the United States who may be a teeny itsy bitsy bit biased when it comes to war in the Middle East. Also, draft Lindsey Graham. That is all. Thank you for your attention to this matter. If you guys want a completely uncensored version of this video with no bleeps, donate to my Patreon, link down below. All Patreons get a raw version of each video a day before. Become a member of Big Simp today. Also, big shout out to Ground News again for sponsoring this video. It was hard to get a sponsor for this video. I was about to do it with no sponsor, and Ground News was like, sure, we'll do it. Talk about whatever you want. Like, that's based. That's based. Go give them some love. And I will see you guys next time with a slop video. I promise.
Yeah, should I reach out to Ground News to see if they'll sponsor me? Do you think they'd be okay with everything that I say? This topic is kind of spicy, right? Like, touching upon Israel is spicy because of the anti-Semitism claims around it. Well, like she said earlier, you can criticize Israel without being critical of Jews. But the Jews and the evangelicals don't see it that way in any way, shape, or form. And some leftists say it as well. Like, you criticize Israel, that makes you automatically anti-Semitic. And so, therefore, sponsors and, businesses don't exactly like that. Which is why I like the Dragon's Treasure. Use code Amalgamyte for 10% off your order for your tea, soap, coffee needs, and focused drinks. Because the tea man doesn't give a shit. The tea man actually is pretty base and agrees with me on a lot of stuff. In some cases, he's a little bit more extreme than me, which is saying something. Also, I'm gonna skip ahead to her little thing at the very end.
For I hear the sound of victory. I hear the sound of victory. I hear the sound of victory.
And like nobody is there. Nobody is there when she's doing this little chant.
For I hear the sound of victory. I hear the sound of victory.
Well, like they're just like looks like they're setting up the stage right now. I'm assuming she might be like practicing for her speech. Of course, a little cross in the background. This looks like a televangelist little thing, like one of those like mega churches where they have this massive platform and the flashy lights and like the rock band going on and that kind of stuff. Wait, actually, those might actually be the Evangelicals now that I think about it, because that's not how a Catholic church is. I just never really looked into what denomination does that thing. I just kind of wrote them off as crazy. That actually makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense actually. Okay, I'm learning more about the denomination. All I'm saying is, if I ever have a come to Jesus moment, man, it's gonna be orthodoxy. It's gonna be orthodoxy, not Catholicism, because fuck the Pope. This is a good video by Shoe.